On the night of November 18th, Karnataka's most wanted Maoist leader, 44-year-old Vikram Gowda, was killed in an alleged exchange of fire with Anti-Naxal Force at a village in Udupi district. This incident marked the first such gunfight in the region in the last 13 years, since 2012. In the aftermath of this killing, where does the Maoist movement and armed resistance in Karnataka stand? What is the action plan of security agencies like the Anti-Naxal Force? What are some of the criticisms surrounding the implementation of the state's surrender and rehabilitation policy? Namaskara, welcome to Decode Karnataka. I'm Nalme Nachiyar. In Karnataka, left-wing extremism gained momentum in the 1990s during the Kudremukh National Park agitation. However, the 2005 encounter of Saket Rajan, one of the most celebrated Maoist activists in the state, dealt a massive blow to this outlawed movement. In 2010, Karnataka was removed from the list of Naxal-infested states in the country, although sightings of suspected Maoists continued to be reported in coastal and Malnad regions, a hotbed for Maoist activities. Recently, after a decade of being off the grid, Maoists were spotted in at least 5 instances since March, which led to combing operations being amped up in Dakshina Kannada, Udupi, Kodagu, and Chikmagalur districts. Today, even as search continues for a handful of underground workers who remain, activists and former Maoist leaders have called for an independent judicial probe into Gowda's death, which they claim is a fake encounter and an act of crime committed by the state. Fingers have also been raised at the implementation of the surrender and rehabilitation policy. Lapsed left-wing extremists say that while on one hand the state encourages activists to give up arms and reintegrate with the mainstream, on the other hand, it keeps them wrapped up in legal battles for years on end. To discuss the long history of this movement and the state's response, we have with us today Senior Assistant Editor Sathish GT and Deputy City Editor Aditya Bharadwaj. Sathish, let me start with you first. Compared to states like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh, the Naxal movement in Karnataka was confined to some pockets. Many believe that Naxalism had been almost eradicated in the state also. But Vikram Gowda's killing has put a spotlight back on it. Can you give us a brief history of left-wing extremism and armed resistance in the state?
Okay, sure, Nalme. As we all know, the Naxal movement began in West Bengal in 1960s. Some people of Karnataka also got attracted to the movement. They started organizing farmers and also student organizations in many cities. The movement actually began in Bidar, and for some years it was in Raichur also. Later in the 1990s, they shifted their base to Western Ghats, that is parts of Chikmagalur, Udupi, and Dakshin Kannada. There are many significant events that made the people of this movement shift to the Western Ghats, particularly 1987. Kudremukh National Park was declared. Around 600 square kilometers of reserve forest was declared as national park. People living in that area, particularly tribals, they were worried about this development because whenever the forest was declared national park, their living in that area was not accepted by the forest department. They were like forcing them to move out. Some of the Naxal people, they understood these issues, affecting the tribal people. Hence, they moved to these areas through some frontal organization. They organized the farmers. They interacted with the tribal people. They understood their problems. Particularly, all these people who are in the tribal people who are in the forest areas, they didn't have access to basic amenities like a road, hospitals, or education. And they understood that these are the issues that with which they can build their network and build their movement. Gradually, many youth were attracted to this movement. They got involved in that, and they were also accepted. They somehow they accepted that armed struggle is the only way to liberate themselves. That's how they started their movement in Western Ghats. Gradually, they spread to other parts of other neighboring districts also. There have been many incidents since 2003. Actually, there was encounter in Karkala. Parvati and Hajima were killed. Later
Yes.
in 2005, there was another encounter in which Saket Raj, who was leading the team, was killed. And there were similar incidents in 2007, and there have been incidents in 2009, 11. And there
Okay.
are people, so far, as per my knowledge, since the movement began in Karnataka, nearly 24 to 25 people have died in Karnataka.
Okay.
That includes Naxals who were killed in encounter,
Hmm.
policemen, and the common people.
Right. Aditya, since the beginning of the year, there were several reported sightings of Maoists in coastal and Malnad regions, indicating a resurgence in of this dormant movement. Now, with Vikram Gowda gone, how many Maoists are currently active in Karnataka, and how does this killing impact Maoist presence and the Maoist movement in the state?
So the Maoist movement has actually been dormant for many years in Karnataka. For the last 5, 6 years, it has been dormant. And many of the Maoists from Karnataka who were active earlier were said to have moved to Kerala in the Wayanad region or in the Tri-Junction region of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So from there, one group is said to have come back to Karnataka regions in around February or March this year. So we have had more than 7 to 8 sightings of the Maoist group in Dakshin Kannada, in Chikmagalur, and even in Kodagu district, border areas from March 2024. So according to security agencies, there were around 8 people in this group, 6 people from Karnataka and one from Kerala and one from Tamil Nadu each. So out of these, Vikram Gowda is now killed in an encounter with the ANF recently. Now, after Vikram Gowda, there are said to be a total of 7. This is also based on sources and reports even to the security agencies. So even after the encounter of Vikram Gowda, we have not heard anything from the CPI Maoist party, which is banned. But usually they used to give out press releases and other things, but we have not heard anything. So this is the situation, but it needs to be seen whether there are attempts to ask them to join the mainstream because the movement is almost dead and other things. So we need to see whether they come and join the mainstream or they continue with the movement. So the security agencies say that Vikram Gowda was one of the most formidable leaders of this group who could have organized or re-established a base in Karnataka, and his death, security agencies think that his death has given a very big blow to the Maoist movement in the state. If there was any attempt to re-establish a base back in Karnataka.
Okay. So, given that there are only a handful of leaders left, is there a need for such a huge unit as the Anti-Naxal Force? And what has prompted the intense combing operations and surveillance by ANF and police personnel in Karnataka?
So this question of why do we need a ANF, earlier there were around 700 personnel there. So this question of why do we need ANF when all the Maoists who were active in Karnataka had moved off to Kerala had come up earlier also a few years ago. So then the justification given by the Karnataka police was that it is a tri-junction area between Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. And we need to patrol or we need to comb our parts of the region of this tri-junction area. And if not, the Maoist groups will move from one region to the other and they will take advantage of the jurisdiction. So even though the movement was not very strong, this was the justification given earlier when there was almost not even a single Maoist activist active in the state. Many had moved to Kerala. And also you asked about why there was intense combing operation. There may be 2 reasons for this. One, because there has been more sightings this year. So whenever there is a sighting, the combing, as a response, combing operation is very natural in ANF. That is one reason. And the other reason is Union Home Minister Amit Shah had recently said that Naxalism has to be ended by March 2026. So there has also been a push towards actually neutralizing Maoist movement.
Okay.
So both these things could be reasons why the combing operation was intensified.
Satish, let me bring you back in here. Now, shortly after the killing of Vikram Gowda, DGP Internal Security Division, Pranab Mohanty said there was no proposal by Gowda or any of the other underground activists to surrender before the Karnataka police. But there are rebels who have come back to the mainstream, and some of whom have, spoken about being let down by the rehabilitation process. So, how many cases of surrender has the state seen so far, and what are some of the criticisms of this rehabilitation process that have been highlighted by former Naxal activists?
Yeah, as I remember, in the year 2010, this rehabilitation or policy was introduced by the state government. Since then, the policy is that has been revised twice so far in the last 10 to 14 years.
Okay.
Earlier, we used to call it a surrender policy, but in the year 2014, it was called the assimilating to mainstream. The people who were with the movement, they were returning to the mainstream. According to the policy, they were given those people who were facing some serious charges. They were getting 1 lakh rupees as some grant, and said that there were some people got 2 acres of land to cultivate.
Okay.
And those people who were not in the serious, they were not facing serious charges. They were getting only 3,000 rupees so that they can start some business, a small business in their village. Initially, 4 people came with that tag. Later, in the year 2014, the policy was revised. So far, I have the list of 13 people who have taken the policy and returned to the mainstream.
Okay.
Among them, many of them are still facing the cases, including Kanyakumari. Right now she's facing somehow around maybe more than 60 cases.
Okay.
And Neelakudi Padmanabh, who was also, accepted the policy and returned to the mainstream in 2017. I think he still has around 5-6 cases. At that time, he was facing 19 cases. Similarly, Rizwana Begum and Parashuram, Shivu, and some people, totally 13 people have so far accepted the policy and come back. And Neelakudi Padmanabh's wife, Renuka Bharti, is also one among them.
Okay.
Those people who were facing the serious charges, they were arrested immediately when they came back to the mainstream. They were put behind the bars. What they were demanding is, when they were accepting the policy, their major demand was that the cases against them should be dropped.
Okay.
But there is no, the policy clearly states that we will not drop the cases. You have to face the court. And if there is any necessity, that withdrawing the cases will be followed through a regular procedure. It can't be, since you accept to come back, we can't take the cases immediately. That's what the policy says. But whatever the amount they got, the people who are facing serious charges, so they got in the second policy, they were getting 2.5 lakhs.
Okay.
But the amount was negligible compared to considering the amount they were they're spending to meet the court. Take the example of Neelakudi Padmanabh. He has to attend at least 3 days in a week in different courts. He has to be present in different courts because there are cases in Chikmagalur, Kundapur, and Udupi, and some other places.
Okay.
See the case of Kanyakumari. She came to mainstream in 2017. Then she had a 6-month-old baby. She was arrested. She was put in Bangalore jail. She is still there. For last 7 years, she's still in the jail. And her husband, the friends are trying to get her bail.
Okay.
See, when people who are lagging, still in the jail for 7-8 years, whenever we say that, the state government says that they are not willing to come back. But there is no, any sign of hope that if you come back, if you join the mainstream, there is no hope for any, peaceful living. When I interact with the people who have already come back, they are regretting the decision. They openly tell that we should not have come back. Kanyakumari is facing around 61 cases. More than 60 cases. Even Vikram Gowda, I think 61 cases in Karnataka and state. How each individual is facing so many cases, it's interesting because whenever there is any incident happens related to Naxal, police list all the names they know about Naxals. All the Naxals will be included in every case. That's why wherever incidents happen, whether in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, these names figure in the complaint. That's why Kanyakumari is facing 60 cases, or Vikram Gowda is facing so many cases. Even if so many people come, if they come back to mainstream, they have to attend to all the cases. Though there is a committee to make the people come back, they are repeatedly appealing to the Naxals to come back, but there is no response from the people who are still in the movement.
In the crossfire between Naxals and the Anti-Naxal Force, it's often innocent tribals who suffer the most. What are some of the developmental issues being highlighted by these forest-dwelling communities, and is the government doing enough? Do you think the government doing enough to ensure tribal welfare so another generation does not end up becoming sympathizers of the cause or taking to arms themselves?
As you said, common people are they caught between the two people, I mean, police and the Naxals. The last when the Vikram Gowda's encounter happened, that day we were in Kadegundi. There's a village in Chikmagalur district. That is a place where four Naxals had come for dinner on November 9th and 10th. That's a hamlet. Kadegundi is a hamlet of about 3-4 families. And there is no proper road, or when we went there, they had no power connection for last 8 days. Because of the Naxal movement, that area, the local administration had disconnected the power. And the people who were, because of the Naxals with arms, they came to their place and they asked for food. They offered food, whatever they had prepared. Because of that, they had to suffer. Immediately police came to their house. They, ransacked their house. They, picked some for inquiry. They have been undergoing some serious, trauma after that incident. And like this, many people have suffered. They have suffered from both the ends. In the earlier years, when Naxal people were, we have a notion that they were living in the forest, or they were hiding somewhere, but they were with the people. Initially, they were without the people support, they couldn't survive all these years. The issues they were raising, they were connecting through the issues, they were connected to the local people. That's why people had also, extended their support. Whenever there is some people, they came and they offered food, they offered place to stay. Like this. But because of their good gesture, police were torturing them, police were questioning them. There are many villages with no schools, even today. But in the recent years, the number of residential schools have come up, has increased. And because of there are no schools in the villages, children are going to school from the first standard itself to the hostels. Apart from the major issue is land. Because they are part of the forest area, they have been facing many restrictions about their movement, or they don't have land to cultivate. Major issue, people may agree or disagree with the path taken by the Naxal. It's against the law. They have taken the armed struggle. That is, nobody can accept it. But the issue they are raising the issue of land and the restrictions imposed on the name of national park. And they are demanding basic amenities to the people. If the government could provide them, if the government could address the needs of the local people, these issues, people need not go to the Naxals, or they need not join them or extend their support. Now there is a policy, the big planters who have encroached the land, they are being incentivized. Their government is ready to give that encroached land on lease. When big planters are getting the excess land, the poor landless laborers are not getting land to cultivate. Even 2 acres of land is enough for them. They're not demanding free. They don't want to become planters. Their issue is genuine. What the issue is being raised by the people and those people with the Naxal movement. These issues are considered to the poor people or the tribal people of the land. The government should address that.
Karnataka's battle with the Maoist movement has spanned decades, and with the ANF's sustained vigilance, the armed struggle seems all but quelled. But until the state government can solve the long-pending issues of the tribals and ensure proper implementation of the surrender and rehabilitation policy to assimilate Maoists into the mainstream, the fight against extremism is far from over. I'll see you in the next episode of Decode Karnataka. Until then, subscribe to The Hindu.